As we enter into the new year, I was just praying that the Lord would give me scripture for the upcoming year. This is what he gave me, and it's awesome because as we look through the book of Hebrews, we see a major theme played out, and that is that Jesus is the greater. That Jesus is the greater sacrifice. Jesus initiates and gives us a better covenant. And here in chapter 7, we see that Jesus is the better priest. In the Old Testament, the priests would be discontinued in their ministry because they would die, or they would need their own sins covered. And so they were serving under a lesser law, a lesser covenant, because as we read in chapter 7, the law, it does not benefit us in that it doesn't give us salvation. It only condemns us. Jesus initiated a better covenant, which gives us a greater hope. And it says that he is also able to save to the uttermost those who come to God through him. Think about that word uttermost. We can think of it in terms of quantity, to the very end, the very last drop, or we can think of it in terms of time, for all eternity. And it says in verse 22 that by so much more, Jesus has become a surety of a better covenant. Also, there were many priests because they were prevented by death from continuing, but he, because he continues forever, has an unchangeable priesthood. Jesus is eternal. He's sinless. Therefore, he's the greater high priest. And then we see that he always lives to make intercession for those who come to God through him. And I want us just to picture that scene in heaven before the throne of the Father, that Jesus has stood and continues to stand before the Father, says my name, says your name, and says not guilty. In Colossians, we read that there was a handwriting that was against us, right? Every law that we ever broke condemned us, yet Jesus took that from between us and the Father, and he nailed it to the cross and says, forgiven. So no matter where you are, ending out this year or entering into the new, if you're feeling condemned by your sin or hopeless in your situation, know that now Jesus is standing before the Father and he says innocent. And that gives us such a great hope and such a great peace in our hearts.